failed attempt to recall him. Former head of state talks about Nigerian civil war. PDP accuses Kogi governor of spending 5 million naira for Dino recall. And in sports, CAF bans Nigerian referee over bribery allegations. And on the foreign scene, North Korea to close nuclear test site in May. These and many more in a moment. I am Nten Ekbang with the news on the hour on television Nigeria, and for details of these stories, the senator representing Kogi West at the National Assembly, Dino Melaye, has reacted to the failed attempt to recall him from the Nigerian Senate. Melaye, who is currently in the intensive care unit after a face-off with security agencies last week, thanked Nigerians, especially his constituents, for standing by him. In a statement, Gideon Ayodele, media aide to the embattled senator, called on Nigerians to continue to pray for the lawmaker. Ayodele said that the chain of events from last Monday to this day are enough for one to be grateful to God Almighty and all Kogi people, including friends of Senator Dino Melaye all over the world, for standing behind the senator in these trying times. He also said that all allegations against Senator Melaye are politically motivated, with the timing of his maltreatment and harassment carefully planned to prevent him from mobilizing support against his recall. The statement appealed to Nigerians to pray for the safety and freedom of the senator so that he can return to his family and duty post. The Nigerian Independent National Electoral Commission had declared the process of recalling the senator failed after the verified signatories to the petition from Melaye's recall fell short of requirement. Former head of state General Yakubu Gowon has revealed how he visited the southeast region after the civil war and what the people told him concerning another war. The former head of state made the recall while expressing dismay over the incessant security challenges in Nigeria. Gowon said his heart bleeds over the activities of Boko Haram, herdsmen and other armed militants whose actions he described as man's inhumanity to man. General Gowon said this when he paid a courtesy call to the governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, at Government House, Owerri. He said after the civil war, he visited Nsukka, Enugu, Abakaliki, Umuahia, and Onitsha in the southeast. According to him, the people in these areas enjoined leaders in the country not to allow a repeat of the civil war experience in the country. The People's Democratic Party in Kogi State has accused the state governor, Yahaya Bello, of wasting over 5 billion naira public fund on the recall of senator representing Kogi West, Senator Dino Melaye. The party, which described Governor Yahaya Bello as heartless, lamented that the over 5 billion naira would have paid at least 2 months' salaries of workers in the state. In a statement, the party's Director of Research and Documentation, Achadu Dixon, reacted to the boycott of the Saturday's INEC verification exercise by the electorate, calling for a thorough investigation of claims by some electorates who turned out for the exercise that their signatories were forged. The party further said that the huge human and financial resources deployed to the Dino Melaye must go agenda would have made meaningful impact on the lives of the downtrodden in Kogi State, especially the workers that are being owed several months' salary. Reacting to the allegations, Chief Press Secretary to Kogi State Governor Petra Oyegbule described the reactions of the People's Democratic Party as another bunch of lies. The governor's Chief Press Secretary maintained that Governor Yahaya Bello has no interest in the recall of the embattled senator. After the break, Sarah calls on President Trump to demand looters list from President Buhari. In sport, CAF bans Nigerian referee over bribery allegations, and on the foreign scene, North Korea to close nuclear site. Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. An all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence. Thanks for remaining with us. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has asked the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to request a complete looters list from President Muhammadu Buhari. The group also called on the U.S. President to further ban those whose names are on the list. In a statement by its executive director, Adetokunbo Mumuni, Serap urged President Trump to use the United States Presidential Proclamation 7750 to ban those indicted for allegedly stealing some of $2 billion public funds to buy 12 helicopters, 4 fighter jets, and ammunition meant for the fight against the terrorist group Boko Haram. Serap added that the imposition of temporary travel bans on senior public officials and others complicit in grand corruption will serve as a preventive and not punitive measure. According to Serap, quote, imposing targeted anti-corruption sanctions against those accused of grand corruption in Nigeria will help to deter corrupt behavior by high-ranking public officials. Such rankings, it said, will not violate due process and presumption of innocence principles if the reasons for the sanctions are communicated to those that may be affected. Presidential Proclamation of 2004 allows the U.S. Department of State to deny visas to corrupt foreign officials, their families, and friends. In sport, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has banned a Nigerian referee, Joseph Ogabo, for 1 year over an alleged attempt to manipulate a match. According to CAF's website, the decision follows investigations conducted and evidence submitted by the South African match officials who were contacted by Ogabo to provide technical assistance to the Nigerian team. Ogabo has received a blow from the Continental's football governing body 3 weeks after presiding over the Confederation Cup clash between Plateau United and USM Alger played on April 7, 2018 in Lagos. Meanwhile, the South African Football Association has been ordered to render an apology to the Nigerian Football Federation after investigations proved there was no evidence of any official of the NFF collecting a $30,000 bribe. On the foreign scene, North Korea's nuclear test site will close in May. A spokesman for the South Korean president's office says the closure of the Punggye-ri site will be done in public, and foreign experts from South Korea and the United States will be invited to watch. Scientists have said the site may have partially collapsed in September. On Friday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korea's President Moon Jae-in agreed to work to rid the Korean peninsula of nuclear weapons. Their summit came after months of warlike rhetoric from the North. On Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump said he will likely hold talks with the North Korean leadership over the next 3 or 4 weeks about the denuclearization of the peninsula. Presidential spokesman Yoon Young-chan said that Kim Jong-un had stated he would carry out the closing of the nuclear test site in May. Yoon added that the North Korean leader had also said he would soon invite experts of South Korea and the U.S. to disclose a transparent process to the international community. The office also said North Korea will change its time zone, currently half an hour different, to match that of the site. And that's been the news hour on television Nigeria. Before we go, let's bring you the headlines once again. Dino Melaye reacts to failed attempt to recall him. Former head of state talks about Nigerian civil war. PDP accuses Kogi governor of spending 5 billion naira for Dino recall. And in sports, we told you that CAF has banned Nigerian referee over bribery allegations as North Korea closes nuclear test site in May. That's on the foreign scene. Now, before we go, remember, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause, reflect, and reform. My name is Nten Ekbang. Good night.